Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It is the Barbecue Central Show, where we only talk about the most important things that are going on in the world of live fire. If you missed the first hour, fear not. We are recording, as we do each and every week. Hour number 1 of this show will show up in the podcast feed tomorrow, early in the morning. Hour number 2 will show up on Thursdays, and we'll talk about Friday here in just one moment. The Barbecue Central Show originates from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
Still to come on this show tonight, and he is in the green room, so he will be on time. Meathead from AmazingRibs.com, fresh off his exclusive invite to the Weber unveiling event that took place in Illinois somewhere, a secret, unnamed location. Maybe Meathead can spill that in about 10 minutes from now. We say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You go to Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show or Twitter.com/BBQ Central Show. Alternatively, you can go to YouTube, which is YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we have a new YouTube poll question of the week. And we're asking everybody this, if you're watching on YouTube, including all guests. Have you ever eaten bison before? And currently 77% of you are saying yes, you have. It's starting to matriculate down a little bit, but still in the majority. You have eaten bison at some point in your life. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less, episode 366. Bringing you back to December 31st of 2015, and being featured this week is me, which I don't usually like. Specifically this time around, I was doing an After Dark segment with now well-known barbecue guy Chad Ward. Chad was hosting his Whiskey Bent Barbecue in the Pit Show, and he had me on to do a bit of an origin story on me. So if you missed this one 10 years ago or thereabouts, you can circle back after this taster. Click on the link to get you the full interview and episode. Totally worth it, especially if you don't know the backstory of this show or how I got this whole thing started. It's certainly accurate even 10 years later. The story has grown. The legend has grown as we broach into 2025, but the way it all started remains the same, and it is there in audio fashion for you to take a listen to, especially if you're not familiar with it. Why not get caught up and see how this whole bunch of nonsense got started? By the way, Chadley, what up, man? Where you at? You can subscribe to the show by visiting thebbqcentralshow.com/subscribe. Subscribing to the podcast feed gets you the replays of the Barbecue Central Show on Wednesdays, Thursdays. Also gets you the Best Moments Show on Fridays. Don't forget, if you want to hear a guest or segment again that you think has been lost in the archives or that you haven't heard in a long time and would like to get a refresh on, email our pal John Solberg, the executive producer of the show. Let him know you'd like to hear. His email address is John at thebbqcentralshow.com. Don't forget at thebbqcentralshow.com. And he will do his best to meet your expectation on an upcoming Best Moments. And as we were talking last week when he closed out the show, as we started 7 years of the Best Moments show, if you can believe that, He said the requests were coming in, I wouldn't say hot and heavy, but they were certainly coming in at a much more rapid rate. So put John to the test. See if you can get him to make something up off the top of your head, or see if he can pull something out of the annals of the show that you don't think he could possibly get. Let him prove you wrong. JON at thebbqcentral.com. And then there's this.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Gang, it is with the most heaviest of hearts. I don't know if I can possibly put the weight into the heavy part of heaviest of hearts. And I don't want to bring the show down, especially when we have a juggernaut waiting behind me who's going to bring it. The likes you haven't seen since last month. But a couple weeks ago, our first cat, Peanut, I affectionately refer to him as the Great White Hunter, was not acting himself. Now, if you're a fan of the show, you know my undying, passionate love for my cats. You also know that at least two of them have relieved themselves on all sorts of my expensive electronics here in the basement studio. Also around the house. Also, most recently, just right over here to my left that you can't see by the cigar humidor. However, Peanut was not acting himself. Wasn't really looking to go outdoors. He was an outdoorsy cat, better than 50-50 indoor-outdoor, because he loved to go outdoors. Why? Because the nickname I gave him, Great White Hunter, he loved to kill everything that he thought he was bigger than and that he knew he was bigger than. I often said, you get a baby deer and he gets it on the right side of the hill, he might mistakenly think he's bigger than the deer and take a run at him. Oh, by the way, pray for the deer. Don't pray for Peanut, because he is 100% a stone cold killer. Well, he was retreating to the back of the couch. He was vomiting and not eating. So he was throwing up stomach bile. We had fat Snickers ready to go to the vet anyway on a Tuesday a couple weeks ago. So my wife called the vet, said, hey, Peanut's tagging along. He's not acting right. Like, he got there, fat Snickers, still fat. Somehow he's managed to put on 5 pounds. He's damn near 30 pounds, this cat. Different story for a different day. And after relaying the symptoms to the vet, asked Becky if she could do some scans, take some pictures, blah, blah, blah. And a little later in the evening, she called and said, yeah, bad news. Peanut is riddled with tumors. Riddled. And this isn't going to be good, and he's not going to get better. And he continued to hide behind the couch. So quickly, we had to put a plan together of Peanut's ultimate demise. We had to try and round everybody up here. Two of them already, live in the house. Bobby had to come back from Pittsburgh. Lucky she was able to work it out with her new work schedule there, as she is taking care of the emergency department deliveries, those humans. And everybody got together, and at 3:30 p.m. this past Friday, Peanut took his final nap. That is something that is, weird to see. See somebody executing death on your pet. It's especially hard when 4 people in the room are crying and they don't want the pet to die. And why did this have to happen? Especially triggering to my wife, given what she's been through for the last couple years. And the vet comes in. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to give him a shot. 15 minutes later, he's going to be sleepy. We're going to take him out of the room. We're going to run the main line in. Then we're going to come back. And then at that point, it's up to you to press the button, and we'll start pumping in the phenobarbital or whatever it is to stop his heart, and then it'll be a dead cat. So it happened more or less like that. And when they brought the cat back in from getting the main line put in, she said, well, how much longer do you want? And we had agreed that there's no reason to wait. Let's run it. And 2 vials out of the 3 later, the stethoscope goes onto the cat's chest, and the heart is no longer there, and now he's just a former peanut. And everybody says their final goodbyes. Luckily, $500 later, he was cremated and now lives on my hearth. And please, spare me the hypocrite talk. I know. I'm the first one. I know. $100 to put that cat down. $500 later, we got a nice paw print memento on the hearth. We got Peanut and a nice Peanut engraved box. And I guess what are his ashes in the box. It's like squeezing one more thing out of me before you left. Anyway, to the great white hunter who hunts no more, we lift up our glass to Peanut. One down. All right, Meathead is ready to go in the green room. He's going to be breaking all kinds of news, telling all kinds of the secrets that he learned at Weber that are no longer embargoed. By the way, can we change that term, embargoed? It's the lamest term for don't tell anybody our secrets, embargoed. Fuck you with your embargo. How about that? Meathead, be ready to talk about embargo when we get back. Hey, Primo Grills is doing all kinds of crazy stuff in a good way. Ceramic cookers, yes. Oval in size, yes. Because everybody else is oval in size? No. The ovality of this cooking vessel, not a word, really allows you to do the 2-zone cooking that not only is held in high esteem by the experts over at AmazingRibs.com, but for a lot of live fire cookers. They want to be able to move the coals over to one side. They want to be able to put the protein on the opposite side for no heat. Cook it indirect. Got a little wood chunk for smoke if you would like. I recommend using lump charcoal in these styles of cookers, but whatever you think is appropriate. I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's just what I find works best for me. Now, the Primo Grill is only sold through dealers. So you're going to have to go to primogrill.com. You're going to have to go to the dealer locator, punch in your zip code, and then find the dealer nearest to you. Now, if you're in that southern Illinois area, you might want to... Illinois? Maybe. Oh, I forget. Maybe it's Missouri, where their factory is. If you live near the factory, go take a tour. Go see how they put all the other competitors in their kiln and then melt them, and the only one left standing is the Primo. It's a sight you won't soon forget. All the accessories that you want. I mean, if ceramics are in the budget for 2025 and you're not thinking of Primo, you're just thinking wrong. That's not just me saying this because they're a sponsor. I can talk paper all day, but I have real-life hands-on experience with this thing. The cooking chamber is humid. You don't need to spray anything anymore. No, just get the Primo and be happy already. Try to line Nick Bauer up here shortly. We're back with Meathead right after this.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
This portion of the show being brought to you by my favorite brand of cigars currently, McAuliffe Cigars. Step into the world where each blend is a chapter in a grand tale of craftsmanship and passion. The color series continues to dominate. McAuliffe Black, McAuliffe Blue, McAuliffe Red, both in Toro and in Robusto size. Have a little less time Robusto, a little more time Toro. They're both delicious. So good. McAuliffecigars.com and use the locator to find a retailer near you. My guest in the second hour has created one of the most heavily trafficked barbecue and grilling websites on the face of the earth. Is he a best-selling author? Yes. Oh, yes. Is he a barbecue Hall of Famer? Yes. Is he on the short list for being in the sous vide Hall of Fame? Believe it or not, yes. More importantly than all that bullshit, is he a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer? Yes, of course he is. It is Meathead. Meathead, we have a YouTube poll question of the week before we get going here, and I'm asking everybody this, including all guests. Have you ever eaten bison before?
Wait, you said raise a toast to peanut.
Oh, raise a toast. Thank you, Meathead. Appreciate
raise a toast to peanut. Here's the peanut.
You got a port?
It is. How did you know? Could you smell it from there?
I could. No, the glass gives it away. Meathead is a diligent glass person. If it's a white wine, it's going to be in a white wine glass. If it's a deep red, it's going to be in that big bowl glass. But if it's a port, it's going to be in that port glass.
You're wrong. This is a Libby 8470, and I drink everything from it.
You do?
Yeah.
Come on, get some class, Meathead. You used to run the institutional beverage testing economy of the world, for crying out loud.
It's a good all-purpose glass, and I don't monkey around with all that stuff.
Is that a tawny or a ruby port?
It's a tawny.
Tawny, and then how many years on that?
It's a 10-year Sandeman.
Sandeman, all right. That's a very good name out there in the port industry. What's the best port you've ever had?
I've had a lot. The old vintage ports are really special. I can't think of a specific one, but they're good. I love ports.
What do they run? Like, what's a vintage port run per bottle? Are we talking hundreds of dollars?
Well, if they're younger, they're like 50 or 40, but the older ones, in the hundreds. Now, when I was drinking older ports, they were much cheaper, but the prices have gone through the roof.
So it was older,
I don't drink
80s?
vintage ports anymore. I can't afford old vintage ports.
Yeah. Is older ports like in the 80s?
I've eaten bison, by the way.
All right. 76% of the YouTube voting public saying they have also eaten bison. I have eaten bison a number of times.
Yeah.
Big fan.
It's nice. Many people would not be able to tell it from beef. It's leaner and it has a slightly different flavor, maybe a little more metallic. It really depends a lot on what it's been fed on. The same thing with beef. What did you feed it? Nothing I go out of my way for. If I saw it in a restaurant, I would prefer to order grain-finished beef.
Did you know that Malcolm Reed went on a bison hunt in December and came back with 6,000 pounds of bison meat?
Oh, my God. That's a lot of meat.
I know. Said most of it was ground because it was like an older bison that he took down. Now, granted, so I think it was 3 bison ended up being around 6,000 pounds in total of quartered meat, and then they're getting it, processed back in Mississippi. They trucked it all the way back.
That's going to last him a while.
Yeah.
You better throw a big party and make a lot of chili.
No doubt.
It's real good for chili.
It's probably good in spaghetti sauce, too, I would imagine.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that breaks the most live fire breaking news across the country. Nay, the globe. And joining me from Chicago, Illinois to file this report is Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Meathead, what can you tell us?
Well, today we had scheduled a visit for members of our Pitmaster Club to Weber World Headquarters, and we were going to do some cooking with their chef, Dustin Green, who you know, and he sends his regards.
Great.
And we were going to talk with some of the engineers and the designers. What I didn't know until a day or two ago was that today they rolled out 3 new toys.
Oh,
3 new grills are actually a gas grill, a pellet smoker, and a griddle. And we were the very first in the country to lay hands on them. They announced it this morning at 9:00. And we were at their door just a few hours later, and they showed us all the ins and outs, and I took notes so I can share them with you and your listeners. There's good news, bad news. I was surprised. Usually, when they have an event of this sort, they're rolling out something really cool, really special. You know, you and I remember when they first rolled out their first pellet pooper, and it didn't do all that well. It had some serious problems that you could work around. I mean, it wasn't as bad as the way a lot of people portrayed it.
Let's not let's call a spade a spade. It was an unmitigated disaster. Came out of the box bad. It wasn't updated. Didn't burn right. Needed inserts into the pellet hopper right away. I mean, it was for as long as they had to enter into the pellet game, and they took forever. It almost appeared like they decided to rush all of a sudden to get it in. But this market now had been flushed with other options. So take your time and do it right. It was not good.
I would say it was below Weber standard. I didn't find it bad. But there were problems. I mean, it had a problem with grease buildup. If you didn't handle the grease properly, the grease could catch on fire and you'd have a fire. But in any case, within a couple of years, they brought out a replacement, the model, which was significant improvement. And the current model is pretty darn nice. One of the things about their pellet smokers or pellet grills, and it's one of the few pellet cookers that I think you can call a grill, because it is capable of, I mean, my measure of a good grill is, can you get a good sear on a steak? And 90% of your pellet smokers, pellet devices, they call them pellet grills, but they're not, because you can't get a good sear on a steak. Yeah, it gets up to 500 degrees. So does my oven. I'm not going to put a steak in my oven, turn it up to 500 degrees, and expect to get a restaurant quality sear. The only way you get that is with infrared radiation, with glowing coals, charcoal, flame, and the Weber pellet smoker, pellet grill was one of the very few that could do that, and still is. But what they rolled out today was very interesting. All three of these new devices are on the low end of the price scale.
Yeah.
Now, you know the market scene better than I do. I'm more of a cook than I am a analyst, and you can perhaps throw some light on this, depending on how the market is behaving out there. But the 3 units they introduced today was a upgrade. We got pictures. That's great. Max Good, our grill tester, was with us today. They have 10 different variations of the Spirit, which is their low-end gas grill. But there's a significant improvement in them. They also rolled out a new griddle with a really okay. That's right.
I'm just trying to catch up to you. So here's the griddle.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All right, you pull up the picture and I'll address the issue. This is the new slate, and pull that up again and leave it there for a second, if you would. Yeah. The interesting factors, there's several innovations. One is they claim they've worked with metallurgists and they've come up with a cooking surface. It is still carbon steel underneath, but they've treated it in such a fashion that they swear it will never rust, and you can use metal tools on it and you're not going to damage it or scratch it. And they say they've put it through hell and back. And it's not a coating. They say it's not a coating. It's a treatment that happens during the manufacturing of the steel. I have fiddled with griddles, and I'm not among the people who worships my griddle. Right. I know there's a huge audience of people who love their griddle. I'm not among them. And the main reason is they just are a pain in the butt to clean, especially the carbon steel or the rolled steel. They call them cold rolled, hot rolled steel. They rust if you forget to clean it up right away. It's hard to get food that's been stuck on off of it. And the cleanup process takes much longer than it does to clean up a gas grill or a charcoal grill. So I've just never been a big fan. And yeah, they make great smash burgers and pancakes and stuff like that. Just not something I've been crazy about.
So what we're looking at right here, like right out of the box, I turn the heat on. There's no burning process that needs to happen. Obviously, I don't have to treat it because it's already baked in or whatever the hell. And so you can just go right off, get it hot, and start cooking. No problem.
You don't have to cure it. You don't have to treat it. Most cast iron or carbon steel, you have to give a coat of oil. You got to heat it up. You got to change the oil's chemistry so it creates a.
I had to do an elaborate burn-in process on the Blackstone when they sent it to me. So it took hours.
Yeah, so I mean, this is, I think, a deterrent, but people still love them. I mean, they absolutely adore them. One of the women I was talking to today says she's got a big family. And they all love pancakes, and you take out your cast iron 12-inch skillet, and you can only do 3 pancakes at a time.
Yeah.
On this thing, she can do a ton of pancakes at a time. So there are those advantages. One of the other features that they've done with this is they have a new ignition system on this and their grills. Each burner has its own ignition system. A lot of grills, you turn one on, then you turn the other on, and the flame jumps from burner to burner. It's a sequential thing. These all fire up, and they have a pretty good burn. Now, this is the gas grill burner. This was one of the other devices, the Spirit, that they introduced today. And one of the cool things about this, the Genesis and a couple of their other smokers have had what they call a sear burner. Yeah. And it's a high temperature burner that sits in between 2 burners. And frankly, I've never been impressed with it. I don't think it's a very good searing. I mean, in general, most gas grills don't sear very well. They're better than pellets, but they don't sear very well. The new Spirit, which is their low end, I think they run from $3.99 to $7.99. They have the 2 burners, which have like afterburners. You turn the dial up to a certain point and it sticks, and it's the same temperature as as the other 2 burners. But then you press in and turn some more, and kaboom! There's some serious heat, and it does the job. That's it there, and you can see the 2 on the right have like little red knobs, and it really can sear a steak. So it's very impressive. Now the $3.99 models don't have that. But the thing about Weber, there's always a lot of things about Weber. If we have a few moments, I just want to philosophize a little bit. My first gas grill was a Weber Genesis. I had it like 40 years ago. It lasted me like 30 years. It had the knobs on the side because the burners ran left to right.
Did it have the wood decking on the shelf?
Wood underneath and on the side.
Thermometer on the side.
Shelf. I loved them. I loved it, and I had it for 15 years or more, and I gave it to a nephew, and I think he still got it. And the funny thing is if something breaks on them, they got parts. They keep an incredible parts inventory. So their equipment lasts a long time. And it's always well designed. But for many years, they were just a step or 2 behind the innovators, the companies coming out with cool new stuff like sear burners. And they were never the coolest, the bestest, the neatest. They were never Apple computer. Now they have really shown their innovative bones. And things like their top of the line pellet smoker, with its searing capability. And one of the things we cooked today, we divided up our group of 12 into 4 teams, and we cooked some really fun recipes. One of the ones we did was a smoked salmon spread. It's like tuna salad, only salmon salad, but it's from smoked salmon, and it's got some really cool stuff in it. And I think the recipe is now on our website just for members. But in any case, I wanted to serve it on some toasted bread. And all the grills that we had down there were in use for other recipes we were doing. I put it on the pellets grill and toasted that bread. I got char marks. I got grill marks on it. You can't do that on 99% of the pellet smokers out there. I was very impressed. But in any case, that's not what they introduced today. That's been around for, I guess, 6 months or a year. What they introduced today was a bit of a surprise. They introduced a pellet smoker. That's all it can do. It's a lower temperature. It doesn't get up to searing temp. It doesn't have exposure to open flame. That's it there. It's the Weber Smoke, SMOQUE. And it's just plain simple smoker. That's all.
They give you an idea on retail?
Yeah. I got to look at my notes here. Well, guess what? I forgot to write it down. Not very expensive.
$700?
Not very.
Less than that?
Pardon?
Less than $700?
Oh God, yes.
Oh God,
yes. Yeah, I think it's in the $400 or $500 range. I forget.
Really?
I'm sorry. Well, hold on one second. I've got their website open right here. There we go. Well, let's keep talking, and I'll see if I can get the pricing on it. But it's a nifty little machine. It's simple. It might be a replacement for the Weber Smoky Mountain, which is pretty much a smoker. I mean, you can grill on it if you wanted to by taking it apart.
Weber Smoky Mountain's charcoal fired, a completely different shape.
Right.
Smoke, I think, would be something. If it's in that $400 to $600 price range, that thing's competing with, I guess, what would be a Traeger.
I got the price.
Okay, what is it?
I was wrong. $8.99.
Well, that is that's a little bigger.
That's the low end.
Yeah. All right. Well,
the other thing about Weber is in general, and I'm not advocating for them or against them, but in general, they're well built. You don't hear people complaining about the wheels falling off or things breaking. I mean, in general, you own a Weber, you can put it in your will, leave it to your kids. But they're not cheap. They're not cheap because they're high quality. I mean, they all have this enamel coating, which never chips, never rusts. Yeah, I had the lid of my Weber kettle fall off my deck 10 feet to a concrete surface, and it chipped a little bit along the edges. But, I mean, everything is built well. The body is the same heavy-duty cast aluminum, and it's the very similar controller to the high ends. So what they essentially did today is they introduced three modestly priced, or as they would probably call it, popular price devices. A pellet smoker that can't grill or can't sear. A gas grill that the $799 model can sear the snot out of a steak, and that's pretty. My brother-in-law was with us today, and he was drooling over it. He wants one. And then they introduced this new griddle with this no rust non-stick surface. The one thing I was not crazy about on the griddle is I have a Pit Boss griddle. I can adjust the legs on it, and I can level it.
Yeah.
And you can't level theirs. And no, it's perfectly fine if your deck is level. Well, my deck's not level. I don't know if anybody has a level deck. And I wanted to be able to adjust it. Now, they have the same surface on some of their portable models. They have some portable models that are great for campers and things like that. And they have adjustable legs.
I have a 22-inch portable griddle that showed up last week. By the way, I do want to thank Weber for sending me the Weber Slate portable griddle. I could put it together in 15 minutes because 98% of it was already put together. So for a guy like me, that's key in order to get it done in less than a half an hour. But to your point, you can work the wheels or you can work the legs in and out to get it completely level if you're on a non-level surface.
And that's not a problem on a gas grill. It's not a problem on a charcoal grill. It's not a problem on a pellet pooper, but it is a problem on a griddle because you're squirting oil on there. And you don't want it running all off to one side or down to the left corner where the sump is, where the oil runs off.
Yep.
The grease collection systems are nice. A lot of pellet grills or pellet smokers have like little buckets that collect the grease.
Yep.
And they're on the outside. You may be a cat person. I'm a dog person.
I am not a cat person. I would just like to make sure I say that loud and clear. I am not a cat person. I have cats in my house. I did not want any of those cats.
I'm glad we clarified that. I'm a dog person. I think I've trained puppies for leader dogs for the blind for years.
Yep.
And they love those buckets that catch the grease when they're on the outside. Oh boy, they love that. And so do the bees and the wasps. So they've got good grease connect. They're nice. They're not cheap, but they're going to last you. They're going to work for a long time. They have parts if something should break. So I went there kind of hoping I was going to see the nextest greatest. I
don't know what they could have done though, because last year they unveiled the first version of that slate, and they had made some updates to the Weber the Genesis Weber Genesis. So it's not like they had some time in between.
There's one thing that the grill world needs and hasn't got a good example of yet.
What?
And you have to think Weber is thinking about is a thermostat controlled gas grill. You have a thermostat controlled pellet cooker, and aren't they wonderful? Set it for 225, walk away. Get your app out when you want to crisp the skin of your duck and crank it up to 500 after it's been roasting for 3 hours at 250.
Yep.
You can do it with your app. You can control the temp. You don't have to get up from your couch if the game is on. That's got to happen to gas grills eventually. There are a couple of companies that have played with it. I think there may be one out there.
There's one available right now through Sam's Club. Members Mark Pro Series has patented thermostatic control technology on it. It works great. Works great. I have one in the backyard. The thing is awesome. By the way,
you have one.
Can I make a personal plea? Does anybody know what happened to James Howe from Winners Products? We were tight, thick as thieves a year ago. And then by the end of summer or fall, I can't get a word with this guy. James, are you okay? Sending emails to your corporate office in Canada, reaching out to people behind the scenes. I can't get word. I don't even know if you're alive. Just let me know you're alive. I'll leave you alone. But he was bringing technology that nobody had seen. Like we had talked about it years ago, and then he called me one day and was like, "Hey, we're going to change the game here. We have one that's in production for Dealer Tire or Canadian Tire or whatever the hell the store is up there in Canada. It's like Menards, but it's something tire. I think it's Canadian Tire. And then they brought it to America through Sam's Club. And they sent me one last year. It's dead on. Works great. I got to learn more about it. That grill for $6.99, that might have been the best grill released all of last year. Totally stainless, great quality. The grill grates were heavy, like the bars, the stainless steel bars. It had a real
What's
infrared.
the name of it again?
It's the Members Mark Pro Series 6-burner. It was great. Had all the burners like normal. Then there was this little one that you could dial in to set temperature, and it had it was real thermostatic control. Not like you plug it in and you dial it in through electronics. This was real thermostatic control.
Long overdue. I mean, we've always had that indoors. And, we talked briefly about this some time ago. It may be one of the reasons why we don't have more women grilling, because the grills don't behave like the indoor oven that they learned how to cook on. So maybe if thermostats come along, more of them, you would think that Weber is in that game or thinking about that game. They have not always been the leader of the pack. I mean, you talked about it with pellets. They were several years behind the pellet boom. What the hell is that?
It's a water jug.
That is a water my God.
Hydro
It
jug.
looks like a propane tank.
Oh, 72 ounces of water at one time. I can go through about 1.5 to 2 a day.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, got to drink your water. It's healthy.
There's 4 ounces of Sandeman port.
Yeah. You're having more fun than me, though. I can tell you that. Yeah.
Well, you used to be an aficionado, and then you hung it up. You gave up alcohol.
Yeah. Well, I might get back into it. Who knows?
And what happened? You lost all your hair.
Is that what it takes to get the hair back? I'm off the schneid then. I'm falling off the wagon starting tonight if the hair comes back.
Let me look at my notes here and see if there's anything else important. I think the ignition system on these grills is really good.
Yeah.
Really impressive, really nice, innovative. There's something else. They all have this little system. I forget what the hell they call it now. But basically, the two side shelves, you can hang stuff on them. There's a very clever clip-on system. And a couple of the shelves have cutouts. And there's a really nice little basket that you can bring from the kitchen that has all your sauces and your oils and your bottles in it. And you can put cutting boards in there. And they've got a really nice flexible arm lamp that clips onto the side table, and it's pretty bright. It's an LED. It's not. I wanted to buy one today. They didn't have them in stock yet, but I thought it was one of the nicer grill lamps I've ever seen. And they have all these other gadgets to go.
I think that's really where the market is trending. So Traeger was probably the one that unveiled that racking system Traeger's or whatever the hell you call it. I think they might be releasing stuff on Thursday, actually. You have any information on that?
No.
All right. So
no, like I said, I'm more of a cook and I'm not on top of the news. Max keeps me posted, and you do. I talk to you, and in fact, we're talking about Weber. Do you have any further information about your listeners? Probably know that Weber and Blackstone are merging.
Yeah, of course.
And this was announced a month or two ago. And I think, Greg, you were telling me you think the deal closes end of this month?
Yes, supposed to.
I tried to pump them, and I don't know. Nobody seems to know what's going on. Just the big bosses.
Yeah.
One of them who's pretty high up said, I hadn't even heard it was closing end of January. I don't know when it's closing.
Of course. I mean, it was in their newsletter release. So they're either completely uneducated or they're just trying to be as, I don't know. Yeah, right. So they don't want to be the guy that was found to be the rat on accident or anything like that. So Roger Daly is going to be taking over CEO of the merged company. They're going to operate as independent entities going forward. But here's the question. Do you see at some point where Blackstone, the brand, goes away and Weber just becomes the overarching brand for both? Like, do they combine at some point or do they stay separate?
I don't know. That would be a hard move because Blackstone has become such an established name, but it's not as established as Weber. And, there are many companies. General Motors makes Chevrolet and Oldsmobile, and so that they have multiple brands under the umbrella. So it's conceivable they can keep them. And Blackstone certainly has made a reputation for griddles. But now we have Weber in the griddle game with maybe 4 or 5 from the portables on up. And they're pretty good, so are they going to compete with themselves with Blackstone griddles? Are they going to send the Weber griddles over to the Blackstone brand? Are the Blackstone griddles going to come over to the Weber? Nobody seems to know. One thing I would say, though, is that this business about the Blackstone CEO going to be the new CEO of this merged company, I'm not reading too much into that. As I understand corporations, owner of a small corporation, the CEO is the guy who beats the drum to the beat. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, guys, here's our target. Go get it. And the guy who is in charge of getting you there is the president. So the CEO is important, but I think the real person of importance in a corporation is the president. And they haven't named the president. I haven't heard
a number of times. There's a lot of instances where the CEO is also the president.
Yes. Yeah, well, again, my small corporation. I was the CEO and president for many years, also the treasurer. But I've, Clint Cantwell, who's been working with me for years, is now the president, and he's running the business day to day while I write books and go on book tour. And also, I'm slowing down a little. Instead of 60-hour weeks, I'm going to try to get down to 20-hour weeks. Clint is the president. He's the guy that makes it run. I'm still the CEO. And he still runs stuff by me. Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? Yeah, it's a good idea. I try not to give him orders. I rarely draw the line and say, no, don't do this or do it my way. We've had debates that came close to violence, but it's never really gotten violent. And I think that's the way a lot of corporations operate. The CEO is the guy with the vision, who says that's the target.
Yeah,
let's get there. And, for example, you may have heard me talk over the years that we brought out some sauces and rubs.
You did?
And we're closing that line down.
Yeah,
the CEO has decided that we just, it's just such a minor revenue stream, and it takes too much work to pump it.
Look, I mean, the lady that got you into that, I mean, shame on her.
You know the whole story there. We were suckered into it by the manufacturer, and we made really good products. They're excellent products. I think they're top of the line in their industry, but they're just too much effort, too much energy, and they're not a big revenue. And that's what the CEO does. I went to Clint and I said, Clint, I'm looking at the finances, and we're spending too much time on a product that's not giving us much revenue, and I don't see a future. We don't have a sales manager, so I'm not going to put a salesman on it. And let's shut them down. So, by the way, if you have bought them and you like them, we're out of the sauce. The sauce is sold out. The red meat rub is still available. I think the pork is sold out. One of the rubs is sold out. I don't remember which. And there's 2 left. And they are, I think, available still on Amazon or from Old World Spices.
All right. Well, great. That's
what the CEO does. The CEO says we're closing down a line. I mean, Weber has 11 models in the Spirit line.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I'm CEO over down there, I'm thinking, can we get by on 4, 5?
Yeah, I think we'll see trimming as the year progresses. I think once the new leadership is installed and ready to go, you're going to see a new vision for both. And at some point, you could see a Blackstone. Maybe Blackstone stays, but now you have branding that says Blackstone by Weber on the box. So there's a constant messaging going on.
You got Weber Summit, you got Weber Genesis, you got Weber Spirit. You could have Weber Blackstone.
Sure. Why not?
Why not? It's going to be interesting because they are 2 industry leaders. I mean, Weber is in 70 countries.
Yeah.
And Blackstone really pioneered the griddle phase in this country, and people absolutely adore them. So this is a juggernaut.
Meathead, we appreciate you getting us up to speed, and please thank Max and Waylon for forwarding me the pictures of the units as well, and I will get you your next date, which is going to be in March, where we're going to be talking about some fun things. So this is Meathead at AmazingRibs.com. Please join the Pitmasters Club. He doesn't ask you, but I will, and you can take advantage of a lot of cool stuff there. Meathead, appreciate the time here this evening. Go ahead, one last thing.
The new book, The Meathead Method, comes out May 13.
Pre-order now.
You can pre-order on Amazon now.
All right. We will do that if we didn't already. I'm sure it was pre-ordered. Yeah.
The original, the New York Times bestseller, they've been discounting it. I've seen it down to $20. It's a $35 cover price. So if you haven't got that, it's really good.
Have you made $1 million off that first book?
Well, the company has made... Well, between the 2 of them, maybe perhaps the company made. It's not me. It goes straight to the company. Nice. Yeah, we made a bunch of money off of it.
Right. Well, hopefully that second book really gets the juggernaut rolling as well. Meathead, always appreciate the time, and we will talk to you soon.
Greg, Rebelites. Thank you very much. It's good to talk to you again. Good night, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Meathead right there. Helping us break news, look at these new Weber, griddle. I don't know if the slate is really new. The slate was out last year. Maybe it was a revamp or different cart. Smoke, definitely new. Smoke, by the way, I don't know if you remember, that was predicted to be something that was released this year by our own Wes Wright from cookoutnews.com. So good for you, Wes. Prediction come true. And then the Spirit line of grills that have seen a revamp. Spirit is the lower price to grill there. I'm more of a Genesis guy. If you're going to get a gas grill, like Meathead would say, like Weber not known for the cheap stuff. Even their cheap stuff, not necessarily that cheap. We're not talking about pit boss type level. Charbroil type level. Still pretty expensive. Just not as expensive for what you would normally come to be accustomed to with Weber. Hey, Big Papa Smokers is telling you this. Happy 15th anniversary! That's right, with the ultimate in barbecue essentials, from award-winning rubs and sauces to premium grills and smokers. Big Papa Smokers has everything the barbecue lover in your life needs. Discover Pitmaster favorites like Sweet Money, Double Secret Steak Rub, Cash Cow, Competition Brisket and Steak Rubs. Get them all. They're all great. Trust me, I've tried every one. They're great. For a limited time, use promo code REMPE15, all one word, REMPE15 at checkout. Get 15% off your entire purchase. Some exclusions apply. Visit BigPapaSmokers.com for details. Big Papa Smokers, where your food just got better. Let's wrap this show up right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
I didn't know how that was going to go. Meathead, by the way, joining us last segment extended. But it appears we're right on time. More or less a 2-hour show. It'll be a little short here tonight, but more or less a 2-hour show. Guy the Cooking Sam. Less than $700? Oh, God, yes. $900. Meathead. Classic. That might have been his 7th cup of port, by the way. Who knows? All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up all the way back in the first hour. Dave Gafford from The Barbecue Lab, thebarbecuelab.com, all spelled out BARBECUE, thebarbecuelab.com. After David, it was Robert Moss for the first time in 2025 talking about how restaurant reviewing is going to be dead way sooner than later, and it's all thanks to the internet. Damn you, internet! Thank you, internet! Second hour Meathead, giving us the inside scoop on the newly released non-embargo. I told Meathead, be ready to talk about embargo. I didn't even bring it up. What a dick. My fault. Talking about the recently embargoed, then non-embargoed new Spirit line refresh. The Weber slate was tossed in there for some reason. Still unsure. I'll get some more clarification next week with Wes Wright. And, of course, the new smoke that Wes Wright predicted at cookoutnews.com. Big show planned for you next week. It is the 3rd week. I may or may not have a watch expert on who's going to make you really into watches. I love this guy. I've been following a lot on social media. He knows what he's talking about. He owns a luxury bazaar out in Pennsylvania somewhere. Great Instagram. Great takes. I think you're going to like. Plus a whole bunch of other stuff that you're going to like. So stay tuned for that. September 11th. Oh, wait. So How Do I Always Leave You? September 11th, 2001. And never forget. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host, and proud U.S. American Greg Rempe saying,
Hi, this is Gene Acasella from Port St. John, Florida, and you're listening to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show.